Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial video on the mental aspects of fencing, in which we will be discussing courage. And to start, I'd like to talk about a group of hunter-gatherers in Kenya that's sometimes known as the Dorobo. They hunt big game on the plains, very much like the prides of lions that they share their territory with. When the Dorobo have too much meat to eat themselves, they will leave it out for them. But when times are tough and the lions have snatched a big prize, these hunter-gatherers will steal a portion from under the big cat's very noses. It takes a huge amount of bravery to confidently walk up to a pride of lions to steal their kill. As one of them says, once you make the decision to steal meat from lions, you have to be committed. So why am I telling you this? Well, for starters, as a historian, I find it fascinating that up to this day there are still people making a living as hunter-gatherers, and this group in particular is absolutely mental. As such, I think you should hear about them. But the iron that the Dorobo must have in their soul is also very applicable to some fencing actions. I'm thinking in particular about Indes actions, as they require commitment without hesitation in the right place and at the right moment. This takes a very similar confidence to get it right. You see, doing a good instant or Indes action requires you to walk up to the proverbial lion, stand still when a sword is coming towards your body, knowing that to pull the action off you need to get the mechanics exactly right. This requires willpower. That iron in your soul. To say that you may have difficulties with doing these epic windings of Lection's fight book because you're not brave enough may be a bit unhelpful though. So how can you train for this sort of thing? As I hinted at a little bit already, it's a combination of having solid mechanics on whatever action you try to do and having the faith that you can to make sure that you muster the willpower to see it through. A good technique to practice with is upsets. It is very diagnostic for being able to do an Indes action well, because it takes even more of that combination of grit and aggression that Indes actions need in general. Hesitation will likely mean it will not work and your opponent will land their thrust on you. Running in aggressively without thinking can be mistaken for a success with some other Indes actions, but here it will be very clear that your thrust just missed. So if you can do an Absetzen, you know that you have what it takes to do Indes actions. In this video I will not spend too much time on the mechanical execution of it, as there's quite a few earlier videos about it already. Instead, here is one drill for building towards the bravery and determination that Absetzen need to help you forge the iron in your soul. The theory is that if you both perform the same techniques simultaneously, like tends to happen with Absetzen if you come to think about it, the person who's got the better structure will win the center line. The easiest way to do this is to have your 2 feet on the ground, while the opponent has 1 foot in the air. In other words, if they step forwards to come to you, you will win the center line. Here's what you need to do to make that happen. Walk up to your opponent confidently, as the Dorobo do, ready to perform Absetzen if required. If they attack with a thrust, your Absetzen goes off and you hit them, as long as you stand your ground and you're confident with it. If you get to within the range where stretching out your arm allows you to just thrust with long point, just go for that. We start with a static version where you're doing only that. Once you've done this for a bit, you can introduce some more elements that make the drill more like fencing. You can do this gradually or in one go, depending on your audience. One thing you can introduce is that the coach can make an afterblow after being hit with your long point. The other thing the coach can and eventually should start doing is to move around more. The coach can actively look for opportunities to make it hard on their student to have the confidence to do an Absetzen. This can be a sudden and very quick attack when the student does not appear ready, for instance. In those cases, the student is faced with a choice: go or no go. If they feel confident in their Absetzen, they should commit to it, but do it 100%. If they're not confident that they can commit, the student should immediately retreat and set up the exchange anew. That's the no-go situation. Practicing the Absetzen-Ansetzen duo in this way allows you to learn to use these techniques very clearly, as it shows you very clearly that in order to make them work, you need that 100% commitment, and for that you need that willpower to go for it. If there's any sort of doubt, just retreat and try and set the exchange up anew. That's how you get clean fencing. If you want to take this concept into sparring, I would recommend just sparring as you normally would, but setting the expectation of those attending class that you wait for those opportunities that you can be absolutely sure of. As a rule of thumb, 1 hit per 30 seconds might be a pretty good indication that you're both very focused on Zufechten in this way. We'll talk more about the go/no-go in a future video, but for now, goodbye and until the next one.